We interviewed several teachers and students from Westlake High School about their feelings on the school system and how the school is being run. These are their responses.
Do you feel that the school cares about your physical and mental health? And do you feel that the current way schools are being run is negatively affecting student life with things such as stress?
I honestly think that school is just you do the work and that's you turn it in. Like I don't think schools care that about the tears put into each work or the mental stress that it affects on the student.
Do you feel that having good grades and scoring well on tests is more important than learning the material you're taught in class? And do you think that prioritizing grades over learning is a prominent reason that students cheat as much as they do?
To me personally, I think it's more important to be learning something than having good grades, but it's definitely a more common thought to rather be passing than learning anything.
According to a yearly survey conducted by the Higher Education Research that asks incoming college freshmen if they feel overwhelmed or stressed by all they have to do. In 2016, 41% of students said yes, compared with 28% in 2000 and 18% in 1985. Do you think much of what you learn in high school is something you will use in your adult life?
I don't think what I learned in high school will be that important because I am going to choose one thing and pursue it for like the rest of my life. So, like math or science, I don't think that's really going to matter in what I do going on.
Do you feel that school funds should be spent in different areas, such as on underfunded clubs or class resources like Chromebooks, test books, and desks, rather than things such as sports?
Personally, yeah, I think that funds need to be dedicated more to the educational output of the school than to actually the intramural sports. A lot of times, those intramural sports generate a lot of their own funds that they could use. So, taking funds away from the general fund, things we need to buy more Chromebooks. I mean, if we're going to have a one-to-one technology-driven school, then we need to have the technology and we need to spend the money on it to have it.
In high school, the average athletic expenditure per athlete was 92,000, more than 6 times the academic expense per student. Meaning, in most schools, money is being spent more on sports than academic activities, and other non-athletic clubs are usually left underfunded.
Do you feel like standardized end of the year tests are an effective way to measure how much a student knows? If so, why? And if not, then what change would you propose be made?
I'm not a big fan of standardized tests. I don't think that one shoe fits everybody kind of thing. They can be quick ways to find out maybe a baseline of where students are at, but I don't think that should be the overall judge of how well a student's doing in school. I think teachers do a pretty good job of formally, informally assessing their students throughout the year, so that they should be able to know where they're at. And then, of course, having a kid take one test and then saying that outcome of that test is going to determine whether or not he graduates. Well, everybody has a bad day, and of course, that influences how you take tests. So they might pass, but they may not do well, and then of course, they're basically labeled as not being a very good student by the low scores they get on their tests. So I don't agree with them, and it'd be nice to get rid of them. We could spend our time more effectively teaching the material, not teaching to a test.
Many students, especially those in AP, pre-AP, and general courses, prioritize their grades above their physical and mental health, as well as actually learning the material, which results in students cheating and plagiarizing for the sake of their grades, ranks, and GPAs. What changes to the system would you propose so that students would focus more on learning the material rather than just having a high grade?
Well, the student need to understand when they go to college, it is plagiarizing is offense, and it can be go in their record if they get caught. And in school, we don't take it seriously, but it should be taken seriously. We should focus on learning and what we learn, but I think it's the emphasis on the also important on plagiarizing. That should not plagiarize just because of the grade. I mean, they should understand learning is important in high school. That goes long way into college. If they think they can get away here, and when they go to college, it's gonna cost them pretty much everything.
Schooling has been linked to issues such as high stress levels, depression, and other issues like bullying. However, the way the American school systems have been run has not changed from the time it was established. Though the world around it keeps changing, the system refuses to accept or indulge in even the possibility of a major change. The current system only encourages students to stress and cheat for the sake of appearing intelligent or passing, rather than actually taking the time to absorb the lessons. And with standardized tests at the end of each year, there's no need to put effort in classes when you could just do the bare minimum all year and then study for the final exam. As the world continues to advance in terms of technology, it will only get easier for students to cheat the system. A change must be made now, before it's too late.